So I had this friend that I got really closely connected to, which was stupid. In a lot of ways, doing so was the beginning of the end for me. Not that I'm like at the end of my life. I'm 28 and I got some fucking problems I've got to sort out. This is my parents' house. That's one of them. Recently, I decided that I'm going to do it. It hasn't just been a recent decision. It's been this sort of a build-up over time. Been clearing myself of my many vices. And I've just been making real changes. And the change in kind of persona has been noticed by people around me, so I know that's real. And I got more of those changes that I need to make. And I realized that at many points in my life, especially over this last year, there were these moments where I could have kind of gotten off the train. You ever think about that? Like, you look back and you really fucked up in some kind of way. And part of the regret that you feel is in the realization that perhaps at many points
Their work will be remembered as one of the greatest moments of this planet.
flip things around. You could have gotten off.
Mr. Scout.
You were so dumb. It wasn't just like you did one thing and fucked up. It was like, here you could have turned things around. Here you could have turned things around. Here you could have turned things around. And then eventually you end up in a place where you're like, oh, fuck. And then even from there, often what you do is you go, oh, fuck, everything's all fucked up. And you don't realize that things still aren't all that bad. So then 2 months later, even that moment is a moment where you could have turned things around. And that's it in your life, is this series of those moments, ultimately, with like no reset, no way to get yourself out from under it. And my life has been that. And it turns into a set of problems. It turns into the worst thing is realizing that the destruction that you yield in a path like that isn't just on yourself. It's destruction that you inadvertently even enact on the people around you. It's just a big fucking fire on your whole world. And what I've learned recently, what I've started to see, I think this is literally just clarity from semen retention. and I mean that honestly. The clarity that I've started to gain, and this is something Charles Carroll talks about. He has a video. I'll just bring this up real quick. I'll just, refer to it. This actually isn't the video that I'm using as a demonstration here, but I think you can turn your life around at every second, I think is the title and the crux of the video. Yeah, every second you can change your life. Don't have that reset, transform, right? Yeah. Every second you can change your life. This video right here. Definitely give this a watch. It's very true. He has some newer shorts too about life not being about goal. That one wasn't a short, obviously, but he has some shorts recently about life not being about goal attainment, but being about becoming the person that achieves goals. This state of work, which is funny because right before I watched that video, I started to have the same ideas, that you're achieving a state of being. You're not achieving a specific goal. And I'd recommend watching him. Anyway, the number one video that grants me this notion of the idea of at some point you have to get off of the fucking train. You gotta stop your goddamn consequence in its tracks. I had this cokehead friend, and we were at the bar one night, and he was miserating to me a bit about his coke addiction. This guy was like 20 at the time. He had just turned 21. Straight up addicted to coke, using it several times every single day. Fucking coke head. Spending all his money on coke. I was an idiot. I was giving this guy money and rides and shit. I don't regret it, because it's good to be loving to people, but I did not have anything to give him, and I still was, you know. He returned the favor in certain ways, you know. It is what it is. Both of us weren't exactly living well. But I told him, so this is what your life is like. I said you could get the solution and turn things around. You could just stop this addiction and make things better, but you're not. This is what your life is like. And so it's Mr. Fujiwara's office's video. And so
You've been acting
Mr.
very
Fujiwara, he says this
irrational lately. Fetch me a fire extinguisher.
Go get a fire extinguisher. Alright. Watch this.
A good one. With the phone.
All the way, skipping fire extinguisher after fire extinguisher. He finally goes ahead and grabs one. Now watch. Now he has to go all the way back, the same distance he came. What he could have done was, and we'll watch it all the way just to make the point. Just nice drags on. And what he could have done was grab this fire extinguisher. That's what he could have done. That's your life, and that shouldn't. The only thing I'll say, and this is just the last thing, don't let stuff like this feel like pressure to you, in the sense that, oh, well, I fucked up so deeply that now my problem is insurmountable. It's not it. This is the thing you have to realize. In many ways, at no fault of your own, just a matter of circumstance and the times, you know, and the bureaucracy, the oppression, the poor fiscal and social management that is the modus operandi of the developed world, and especially of the undeveloped world, right? There are all kinds of reasons that your life is fucked up already, regardless of anything you've done to fuck it. It's already fucked in all kinds of ways. Now, I would say that we do kind of build karma on ourselves. We do sort of like the idea that like no one truly at the end of the day endures the consequence for your actions but you. That's true. Okay, I understand that. I'm not trying to say like, oh, the world's all fucked so nothing's your fault. Like, no matter what, the vast majority of your suffering is likely your fault, unless you're in an exceptionally bad place. And if you're in any part of the Western world, not in an exceptionally bad place. Okay, so I'm not trying to ignore that. I'm not trying to like offer people some psychological total release and relief from the distress of their consequences. That's not what I'm trying to say. It wouldn't be healthy or conducive to a better future to engage in that kind of psychological paradigm anyway. Okay? I mean, why do I even say that word? To engage in that kind of... Yeah, no, that's the right word. But what I would say is that you should rather not think of your life as this thing that is in a certain state because I brought it here and I'm full of regret and oh fuck. Consider this. Right now is right now, and you have a certain hand that you're playing with right now. You have a certain bill, right? You have a certain list of things that you are, that your circumstances are, that you have around you, etc. Okay? And regardless of whether you brought yourself there or someone else did, or it's a combination of both, or it's just like the circumstances you were born into or whatever, what the fuck do you have to do to deal with the issues you have right now? And so that's where I think people need to get overall. Like, yes, get off the train, quit fucking up, don't go further and further for that fire extinguisher whenever you gotta put out the fire eventually, right? You gotta put it out eventually. Do it sooner rather than later, alright? Yeah, correct. All that's real, okay? At the same time, don't abuse yourself with regret. Don't make it out to be like the most relevant part of the story is the fact that you did this to yourself. That is the least relevant part of the story. That is literally the least relevant part. Because the thing, and I'm saying it's categorically the least relevant part. It's objectively the least relevant part. It is by its nature the least relevant part. Here's why. And listen, I'm going to live this out, okay? I'm going to live this out and let you guys know how it goes. Alright? The reason it's the least relevant part of the story is because that thing, that regret thing, it is useful for whatever a moment is, however long the smallest unit of time imaginable is, a moment, that's how long it's relevant for. It is relevant, okay? It's relevant for a microsecond. The only relevance of regret, and I want to make sure that this is like emphasized, okay? The only relevance of regret is that when you notice it, it triggers you to stop doing those things. Because here's what I've ultimately realized, okay? I really will end with this. Here's what I've ultimately realized. I know this so clearly now. I just run out of time. I know this so clearly now. Don't come down here. Okay. I know this so clearly now. Where my problem started was when I this was in like my sophomore year of college. I had been an atheist at the end of high school. It was probably maybe it was my junior year of college actually. I started believing in God, but not really doing anything to follow him, just believing he was real. I might have started praying a little bit, And then, intentionally so, I started calling myself a Satanist. And what that meant to me is that I was going to necessarily and intentionally act against the will of God. I started to believe that that was like the right way, was like to do the undermining thing, which is so funny because that is like definitionally satanic pride. And as I've reconnected with God, I've realized that God is real, and that means that the things that happen which are relevant to Him, which is everything, but the things that happen that are relevant to Him actually have their real world consequences precipitating from that spiritual reality. In other words, it's not irrelevant that I think and notice that my problems truly began from the point I called myself a Satanist, and that those problems haven't really stopped. And so I was praying about it yesterday and the day before, probably for a little longer than that, probably for a week or two. I've been praying about it and just trying to, I know that life goes on, and I know I can go, and there's no reason that I can't choose to live for God. I'm still here, I'm a human, and while one person could say, you hailed Satan in some way, you'll never get free. There's a righteous God, you'll never get free. Another person could say something like, you were a fucking idiot college kid. Like, who cares? This lasted all of a month and a half or something like that. And I was high. I was fucking smoking weed all the time. And so I've been like, what's like the actual logical thing here? And I finally realized it. There has to be like a relevant outcome here that means something, and that means something appropriate enough, meaningful enough, poignant enough, well enough aligned with the truth, with reality itself, that it makes, in the end, conducive the fact that I strayed even that far. Okay? That it makes benefit, it makes goodness out of every single bad that I've done, said, believed, and felt. Alright? That's pretty verbose. What I'm trying to say is that the reason you can't let regret consume you is because the relevance of your regret, the relevance of the pain of your life and its status, is that it's meant to discipline you. And so the product of regret, of regret and of the hardship that is tethered to it, right? Because it's not ever just regret, it's regret and it fucked up, and I fucked up my life somehow. Not just I regret the thing I did. It's what I'm talking about is regret. And also I don't just regret the thing I did, it had real damage on my life and on the lives of others. Okay? The good in that, the necessity of that, is that it turns you around. And so my new theory, and I don't think I'll be proven wrong, and we'll see. I'll test this out with my own body, my own form. And I have been. Before this most recent set of failures, I was still addicted to porn. I had gotten off weed like years ago after this horrible breakup, right? And I knew I had to get off porn, but I didn't. I eventually started smoking weed again, and then my life got fucked up again. Okay. Now I'm off porn as well. And I believe what will happen is, as a person, off of weed, off of porn, off of video games, off of social media, off of all the vices, and working diligently throughout my entire day in the way that God tasks me with, life will get better. That's what I believe. And even if it doesn't get better, life will not be this vicious, self-loathing hell any longer. That's what I think. Life will be what it should be, rather than this state that I'm in where I feel like I have been thrown off course from my own destiny. And so if that's how you're feeling right now, like you've been thrown off course from your own destiny, like life could have gone a certain way and now it's not, I'm telling you, I'm certain that that feeling is only worthwhile for a moment. And the whole message, the whole reason that feeling is being given to you is so you can open your heart to God and be told, in the words of Christ, go forth and sin no more, be made perfect. Once you correct that, I don't think there's anything else to worry about. You'll be alright. You'll be alright. I've got some duties, I've got some commitments, and I've got some really poor shit to deal with. And I'm going to go deal with those things, and I'm not going to let despair fall into my fucking brain for even 1 second during all that. And I'll be back very soon to let you know how it all goes. So there's an ad, okay, yeah. I saw an ad up on my microphone. I said, if I'd almost stopped at exactly 22 minutes, that would have been perfect. But then I saw this ad, and I thought, oh shit, was my microphone even on? And it was. Alright, peace.